In one of my earlier videos where I was demonstrating how to make one of the variants of the British Enfield cartridge, I had demonstrated how I was making the plugs that fit inside the bullet using these Noe Bullet Moulds plug plates. And I was using Bondo. And Bondo is basically a two-part compound that stays in its liquid form separately, but when you mix them, it chemically hardens and becomes, pretty much hard as a rock. And it worked good. That was the way I was making my plugs, but it's a little bit fidgety. You have to mix enough to fill all the cavities. You have to work relatively quickly because the Bondo sets up in about, you've got about 5 minutes of working time and then it starts to set up. And then, it's better to have too much than too little, because if it starts to harden up and you haven't filled all the holes, well, you're just out of luck. Mark Hubbs told me about using Sculpey to make this stuff. And Sculpey is basically a hobby clay. You can buy it, at Walmart or, any of these big box stores. And it hardens in the oven. You bake it at, I think, 275 degrees. Let's see what it says here. Yeah, 275 degrees for 15 minutes per 1/4 inch of thickness. And so that's pretty fast turnaround time. So I've tried this and it works very well. And it's now my preferred mechanism for making these plugs, and I'll demonstrate here how that works and why I think it's preferable. So these are the two separate plug plates here. One is for making, I think this is the 550, and this is for the .566 diameter bullet that Noe produces. So to do this, it's very simple. You just take bits of this Sculpey clay and you just pack it into these holes, and it doesn't take any particular finesse. You just have to make sure you get it fully packed in. And I'm not going to bore you guys with me doing all of them. I'm just going to do a couple rows here so you get the general gist, and then I'll do the rest off camera. But you'll notice here that I have some wax paper underneath, and you want to work on a flat surface so that as you pack this stuff in, it's flat on the other side. So you don't have to be very neat about this at all, because once you've got your plugs filled, you're just going to take a razor blade and you're going to carefully cut away the excess. And this is so much easier than working with the Bondo. So I'm going to go ahead off camera. I'll fill the rest of these, and then we'll do some baking. All right, so at this point I have filled all the cavities with the Sculpey putty, and I've gone and trimmed away the excess with the razor knife. And a real nice thing here compared to the Bondo is there's absolutely zero waste. Whatever you don't use, you just put back in a airtight baggie, and you can use it next time. So much more economically feasible than the Bondo, for sure. So there we go. After you've done, sometimes when you slide the razor knife along, it'll tend to pull it away from the cavity. You can just fix that by going over each cavity and pressing it good and firmly with your finger. And then you want to make sure on the bottom that all of your plugs look like they're fully filled there. Looks like I might have one guy here that's not quite filled out there. So you just press them down a little bit more, and by having a nice flat surface to work on with some wax paper, you get a nice perfect surface on the small side without a problem. So there's our plug plate full of our Sculpey putty. Just a word here, Noe Bullet Moulds, produces these plug plates periodically. They're out of stock a lot of the time. I just recommend you go to their forum and post in the group buy section and try to, encourage them to do another run and get them in stock. So next to do is we'll just bake it in the oven, 15 minutes at 275 degrees. So I'm going to go do that, and then we'll be back and show you how they come out of the mold. Okay, we finished baking our Sculpey plugs in the Noe Bullet Moulds plug plate. That's N-O-E. So just 275 degrees for 15 minutes, and these guys come out just like a rock. And so very easy to remove the plugs from the plate. You just flip the plate over and push them out the front. And just like that, we've got 50 clay plugs for the, 49. There's 50 clay plugs for the Noe Bullet Moulds Enfield bullet. So this would be for either the Boxer or the Hay bullet. So yeah, these plugs are probably a pretty good approximation for the final iteration of the plug. The British started off making these out of boxwood, and then later they switched to a clay fired plug that was fired in a kiln, just like this stuff was baked in an oven. So I imagine these will serve as a very good substitute for the real thing. So there you have it. That's my new preferred way to make these plugs, is using the Sculpey clay that you bake in the oven. It's faster, it's less mess, and there's no waste. So definitely my preferred way to go about it now.